We're live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. This is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. A chronicle of how hundreds of people have been killed on our roads. This afternoon, JoyNews premieres our latest hotline documentary, Crushed, with chilling details of who they are, how they died, and just why we must all work to stop the carnage on our roads.
Yeah, we bury not less than 4 or 5 individuals who have not been identified, and these are usually road traffic crashes related.
Also coming up, Techiman Central Market on fire as several shops are razed down. We're live on the ground right now for the details. What has been damaged? What is the cost? Also, we take you to the courts as a judge denies an application for injunction brought against a Chimota school by a Rastafarian student who was denied admission. And another court hears the case of Major Mahama as the videos of his murder is presented to the jury as evidence. And the Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on our YouTube and our social media handles. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. This is the Pulse. Please be my guest. I'll take you live to the Techiman Central Market in the Bono East region, where fire has this afternoon destroyed goods worth thousands of cedis. The cause of fire is not immediately known, but we understand it has affected several shops. Correspondent Anas Sabit is at the market and joins me right now with more. Hello, Anas. Okay, it looks like we've lost Anas there, but those are visuals that you're seeing coming to you this afternoon. It's just happening a while ago at the Techiman Central Market. Let's go now to our correspondent Anas Sabit, who's joining me with more. Hello, Anas. Anas? Anas, what is happening right now?
Right now, the fire is under control. We have all the officers involved in the fire service here. About 6 fire tenders are here from Sanza, Wenchi, Kintampo, Techiman, here trying to help, put out the fire. This fire, we are told, started about 12:30 p.m. So it's been on for about 3 hours now. And as I speak to you, it is almost under control. We have few shops still having flames around. But the major part of the, markets or stores which were set on fire have been dealt with. So I can say that the fire is under control as we speak right now.
We know about this source of fire, as you put it. Is that information that the fire service is giving you about this source that you mentioned?
If you can't come again.
You mentioned that the source, the fire service seems to have located the source of the fire. What can you tell us about this source? Where is it? Is it a particular shop? Where is it?
Yes. The information I've gathered indicates that there was this welding, something that is going on as a portion of the market. So the welders in the process of their work, that is where they are told the fire is expected to have started from. The fire service from the regional command, we are told, will be doing a thorough investigation about the actual cause of the fire as it stands. But the fire has been on for quite a longer period for 2 reasons. One, the municipality is currently having only 1 fire tender, and 2, the task within the fire within the community has been out for some time now. So there were no water when they came here within the first 2 moments when their water was finished within the tender. They had to go elsewhere or to a far distance to get water. So they'll be able to deal with the fire. This is what the fire commander told me moments ago, that is the major problem they encountered. The call up or a shout out from the surrounding municipalities when Team Sanza and Kintampo kind of help the situation. And as you see, they are almost wrapping up with the situation. They can't tell us the quantum or the extent of damage caused, but as I speak to you, nearly 20 shops have been burnt completely. And the fire command, currently with the regional fire commander, ACFO, JoyNews, I want to have you speak within 50 so that we know what you've been able to gather apart from what I have just said. So this is speak with the regional fire commander.
Thank you very much for your time.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time. We're told by our correspondent that you're looking at about 20 shops that were affected by this fire. What more can you tell us?
Okay, thank you. Here is noisy, but if I get you, I think you want to know the extent of damage or the fire outbreak at Chetima Market.
Very well, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, at exactly 12:55, we had a distress call that there was a fire outbreak at Chetima Market involving a lattice foam showroom, which is 3-story building. So we quickly rushed there, and then when we got there, the intensity of the fire was such that we had to call for second pump. So we called Wenchi to also come. But looking at the distance, we had to call another area. So we called Ngransa Fire Station, and then we called Intampo Fire Station. And then Chetima here too, we have a company called Ghana North. They are having 2 fire tenders. So we also relay hands to them, and they all came. So at the end, we were 6 on the ground. That's 6 fire tenders on the ground. And we were able to bring the fire under control within 50 minutes, and then finally extinguish it at 2:35 hours. So the extent of damage now is too severe, and we are yet to come out with the extent of damage because we have to sit down with the managers of the lattice foam company and also other stores which were involved in the fire. So for now, the cause of the fire is still under investigation, and the cause of damage is also under investigation. So as we speak, the problem we are having is that there are so many cracks in the building. So we advise the public not to get closer to the building. The building should be pulled down. They shouldn't try to renovate it at all because it is not safe at the moment. So as I said earlier on, when we got here we called the VRA to switch off the main line. So there's no light over here at the moment. So everything is now under control.
And I get the point which you made, very important point about people having to stay away from this location, because in the videos I'm seeing right now, we're seeing a very crowded area. How are you dealing with that situation?
Yes, we have informed the police. So now police is going to call down the place so that nobody gets closer to the building, and even the workers, they are not supposed to go there until everything is pulled down. So that is what we are doing now. So the police will make sure everything is safe.
We understand that when you got to the market, you were having issues with some of your tenders, and as you put it, the timing within which you put out this fire is close to about 2 hours.
Yes, you know, as we speak, there is no water in the pipeline, the main pipeline. There is a fire hydrant close by, but there's no water. So when we got here, as I said, the intensity of the fire was such that our fire tender alone could not extinguish the fire. That was why we quickly relayed information to 5 other stations to make up 6 fire tenders on the ground. So when we get to a place, we first assess the situation and then ask other people to come and help. So that was what we did.
So as it stands now, you have been able to bring the fire under control, you say?
Yes, as it stands now, it is completely extinguished. It is completely extinguished.
Sir, thank you very much.
We are now investigating to come out with the cause of the fire.
Okay. We'll say a very big thanks to you, sir, for your time there. Anas, if I do have you, just to clarify his name and position for us, this fire service personnel that you spoke to, Anas.
Oh, thank you very much.
Right. Anas? Right. So clarify for us the name and the position of this national Ghana National Fire Service personnel that you just spoke to.
Kindly repeat the question.
Anas, would like to know who we just spoke to again. I think you mentioned it at the beginning.
He's the regional fire commander, ASPO JoyNews, in charge of the Bono Regional Fire Command.
George and Frimpong. Anas, thank you very much. At the moment, though, what has been the reaction or business people there?
Well, they are in a state of shock from what we are seeing. We are quite fortunate that today isn't a market day. I think the main market. The market starts mainly on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The situation would have been worse. So those who are in the market today are in a state of shock because several shops have been affected indirectly. People have to take up all their items to a safer place, and that has caused a lot of shock or worry to the people here. They are also quite upset that this could happen again, and so they are calling for the establishment of a fire tender fire station here in the Kitman Center, because there is a very huge market, and they believe if something of that sort is in place currently, the situation would have been saved a bit earlier. So that is what they are worried about, and others are also saying to rely on neighboring municipalities like Wenchi, Nsanza for their fire tenders to get here to help with the situation. It's a worrying development. So what they are urging the government to do is to have more fire tenders stationed here in Kisima, if possible, because of the regional capital status, so that such fires will be dealt with on time.
Anas, thank you very much. We'll leave you to gather more information for the subsequent bulletins. Anas Sabit there, our correspondent for the Bono East region. Well, if you are in that area, in the Techiman Central Market, the fire service is warning you to stay away from the area where the fire occurred, because the building looks very fragile and could come down any time soon. Now we still stay in the region because statistics available at the Bono East Regional Fire Service Fire Command reveals that the region recorded fewer fire incidents within the first quarter of the year 2021 compared to the same period last year. The reduction, according to the Regional Fire Commander DO1 Enim Frimpong, is as a result of an increased door-to-door fire safety education campaign in various communities by personnel of the unit. Here is a report by Anas Savit.
A total of 45 fire incidents were recorded within the first quarter of the year 2020, with 17 injuries and 36 lives lost in the Bono East region. Within the same period this year, a total of 36 fire incidents were recorded with 0 injury and death. This, according to the Regional Fire Commander DO1 George Enim Frimpong, is a significant improvement in fire-related incidents across the region.
In 2020 first quarter, we had 45 incidents, fire calls, and out of the 45, 17 people got injured and 36 people died out of the 45. Yes, and then the same first quarter accidents that we attended 13 accidents, and then 34 people got injured and 13 people died out of it. That was the first quarter of 2020.
Mr. Enim Frimpong attributed the reduction in the number of cases to the increase in education programs both at home and in the markets by officers of the Fire Command over the period.
The reduction is due to the intensity of our educations to the public. We have to embark on home safety education. And home safety education means we have to get to the homes and then meet the people or interact with the people one-on-one. And by doing one-on-one, they tend to understand us, because there is where they can ask questions. And then we explain our mission to them. So I think that has contributed to the reduction of the fire incidents in this year.
The public usually attribute blames to the fire service during fire outbreaks. They allege that the unit either delay or attend to fire scenes without water in their tender. DO1 Frimpong indicated that under no circumstance will the service attend fire scenes without water.
Thank you very much. This is something we have battling with so long a time. They say we go to fire scene without water. Water is our fire service weapon. So there is no way fire service will get to fire scene without water. Then what are we going to do there without water? Even if you want to use fire extinguisher to extinguish fire, fire extinguishers are used at the incipient of fires. That is the initial stages of fires. So we cannot use fire extinguishers in a big fire. So water cannot be ruled out in fire service activities.
The region has so far recorded 3 bushfires, a significant drop of the 2020 figure of 39.
Bushfires, the first quarter, we had 39 bushfires. That was 2020. But this year, because there wasn't enough of the Harmattan, so we had only 3. So in terms of bushfire, I think it is okay for this year.
The service conducted a simulation drill to indicate their readiness to deal with fire situations. Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
Anas Sabit with that report. And speaking of fires, we've just seen one this afternoon, as you just heard. Now, calm has returned to Wenchiki, a community in the Tripoli district of the Northeast region, following deployment of security forces to the area over the weekend. Some chieftaincy clashes resurfaced, then escalated after the enskinment of a new chief for the area. There is still heavy police and military presence in the area, but some residents have been sharing videos indicating that the people are going about their business as usual, although some residents have also fled from the town following the clashes. We'll talk to the regional minister shortly, but let's get the latest from correspondent for the Northeast region, Ilyasu Tanko. Ilyasu, bring us in on the latest development on the story.
Well, there's calm in the Wenchiki community as we speak. School children are currently in school. People are going about their business. And as we speak right now, there's massive celebration at the newly enskined Chief Palace. Many people continue to come from villages around the Wenchiki community to attend this particular ceremony. We understand this ceremony has been in session since Saturday when the chief arrived in that particular community amidst the tensions that we have been talking about. And so today, the calm has returned to the community and people are going about their business.
Right. Elias, so hang on for me. Let me bring in the Northeast Regional Minister, Yidana Zakari, who is joining us on phone now. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Right. This situation happened over the weekend. What is your assessment so far?
Well, so far, I would say it's been good. The enskinment was done, and we have our men on the ground, and I think that they are there to maintain law and order. So far, there has not been anything untoward. So thanks and praises to God. It's good.
What is the report you are getting regarding how this whole thing started?
You know, it is a mix of, well, the traditional aspect of it has to do with the enskinment of the chief. But the political bit of it is where we got information that the Wenchiki chief was about to be enskinned. And as RESEC, we thought that the area is a bit volatile. And so we needed to have our men on the ground, both police and the military, just so that after the enskinment, there will not be problems. And I think that is what we have been up to. So that is exactly what has played out.
So did you say that you tried to stop this enskinment, or you just sent men there to make sure that the place is protected or secure for the enskinment?
You know, government does not interfere in matters of chieftaincy and related issues that border on tradition and custom. So we couldn't have stopped the process. All we asked for was just enough time to make sure that we have security on the ground. But we didn't have the locus, so to speak, to say that we are stopping the process. No.
Okay.
All we needed was to have our men on the ground so that in case of any reprisal attack, our men will be there to quell any violence. Thankfully, there has not been any violence, and I think there's peace in the area, and we hope to consolidate that.
You indicated that you had been in meetings, and expectedly so. Are there any injuries that you can report?
In Wenchiki, so far from the intelligence and the information that we have had, there are no injuries. Nobody has been attacked.
We also learned earlier. Yes, please go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Yes, we have heavy military and police presence there. They take turns to do their routine duties both day and night. So there have not been any attacks and any case of reported injury.
We learned earlier that some of the residents in this area have also fled. Is there any efforts by the Regional Security Council to assist these people and bring them back if need be?
Let me put it on record. Before the enskinment, there were doubts as to whether there will be peace or not. So some few people left the community. But when the military and police arrived there, I can tell you on authority, nobody has fled Wenchiki.
Okay.
That is because that is the briefings I have had. Nobody has left Wenchiki after the police and military were deployed to the place. What they feared was that there could be some reprisal attacks, violence, but that has not happened. So there's peace in the area.
Okay. Going forward, how do you intend to sustain this peace that you say exists in the area? Although, of course, there are security operatives in the area, but that has proven over the years not to be a sustainable solution to some of these chieftaincy disputes. The sustainable one has been that people will understand each other and then the ceasefire will be operational. What is the plan going forward to sustain this peace that you refer to, sir?
Thank you very much. You know, peace cannot be imposed on people. It must come from within. And for us, the best way to find lasting peace in the area is to take the traditional routes. First, by engaging the factions involved in this whole thing, and to let them understand that they want to rule over people. And if you want to exercise leadership, you need to have peace before you can do that. And also, if we talk to the citizenry, the people themselves, to also understand that it doesn't pay anybody if we take up arms to attack ourselves, all because somebody must lead. So I think it should be one of dialogue. It should be one of engagement at the traditional level, and of course dealing with the factions involved. But the long-term solution will have a codified structure of our chieftaincy institution. So you know those who qualify to contest which scheme. And if it is possible that we can have this on rotational basis, then each will know that, yes, today it is not my turn. But with patience,
right,
we can also one day get our opportunity to ascend the throne. I think when we have this clearly spelled out, it will be the roadmap to lasting peace in the area. And I think, RESEC, after all this is done, we will take steps to see how we can sit with the appropriate people involved to work out our roadmap towards lasting peace.
I'm looking forward to that roadmap, sir, and thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
You had the Northeast Regional Minister, Yidana Zakari, there. Eliasu, let's wrap up with you. Have you? What are people saying? So the minister is telling us that the people who fled the village actually left before the enskinment, and that afterwards, when with the presence of the security forces, there hasn't been any such exodus. What are people saying, or what have you heard so far, Ilyasu?
Well, I spoke to the new chief himself, and he confirmed to me that as of Saturday, since he came to the community, mainly members of the other faction were packing out. But today, my sources at the community revealed that indeed some of them are actually returning because of the presence of the military or the security forces in there. Mostly what people in this particular community are asking for is peace. I mean, they want to live. They are asking the two royal families, the Fombron clan and the Jabo clan, to come together to resolve this issue so that there will be peace in the Wenchike community.
Ilyasu, thank you. Ilyasu Tanko is our correspondent for the Northeast region, bringing you up to speed on that situation. That this is happening not in Tripoli, it is happening in Wenchike, which happens to be in the Tripoli district. Now, Tripoli is a name of a community, but it's also the name for the district. So this is happening in Wenchike, a town in the Tripoli district. We'll keep our eyes on it to keep you updated. Now, 2 weeks ago, he stepped out to give money to a colleague at the busy Opekuma Junction in Kasoa, but he never returned home. He died after he was shot on a Wednesday morning by two armed men. That is the story of 42-year-old businessman Stephen Ntim. As part of our stories highlighting the insecurity in Kasoa this week, Maxwell Agbagba speaks to the wife of the deceased. She wants police to do more to arrest the culprits, as she says she feels unsafe in the area.
This is the spot where 42-year-old Stephen was standing when he was accosted by two men on a motorbike. We understand from eyewitnesses that they asked for his money, and that was followed with a gunshot. They made away and bolted with the money. But this place was buzzing with activities like these. Eyewitnesses say it was too late to pursue the robbers. The crime scene is a busy spot at Opekuma Junction on the Kasoa Highway. Eyewitnesses tell me they were helpless because the attackers had weapons. They say they did not expect a robbery at 9 a.m. on the busy section of the road. I'm now at the residence of the deceased where family members are seated. His wife, Mamiesi Ankuma, has been narrating to me how she got to know of the killing.
I'm going to know Sanjay's going to call. Some hours time, Mommy, I'm afraid the phone.
They shot him and bolted with his money. I called his phone some hours later. A man answered and said that his phone is at the police station. He lied to me that my husband was involved in an accident.
I don't go hospital until the phone.
My husband does not like trouble. He's always indoors and stays away from bad company.
She's urging police to do more to arrest the culprits.
Our only hope now is the police. They should help arrest the perpetrators.
Mamiesi Ankuma says she does not feel safe in Kasoa Opekuma.
At the same time, you're safe.
We are not safe here at Kasoa Opekuma. Every day we hear issues of theft, murder and other vices. We are begging authorities to come to our aid because we are not safe here.
Especially
the deceased 42-year-old Stephen Ntim was married for 6 years. He left behind a 5-year-old son. One of his tenants described him as a generous and tolerant landlord.
And he's a very good man. He don't talk. He don't have a friend. When he come back from work, he's in his room. He don't even come out. He's a very good man. This Monday, it's very sad someone have killed him. Because he just left a small boy. The boy is, he's now getting to 5 years old. I went to Accra. So on my way coming home, someone told me, have you heard something? I said, what? Say, your landlord have been killed. When you go home, don't make any noise. Don't cry because they've not told her wife. I said, okay. So when I came home, I asked one of the lady in our house, and she said it's true, but I should not make any something that her wife will know that something is going wrong. I went to her wife. I asked her, Mommy, how are you? She said, I'm fine. Where is Daddy? He said Daddy has got an accident, but he's fine. He's in coma. So in the evening, we will go to the hospital. I said, okay. So around 7 to 7:30, and then they told us the man he's gone, he's dead. He's a good man. Even if you don't have money, he gives. He's a very good man. He's a very good man. I don't even know what to say.
Eric Asamoah is a friend of the deceased.
We feel very unsafe here. When you are sleeping at night, you are scared. When you send your child, you are scared. He was a very quiet man. He does not like trouble.
The Kasoa police says it is still investigating the matter.
Maxwell Agbagba with that report. We're still staying in Kasoa. Spokesperson to the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Karimi Yao Shaibu, says not only is the media to blame for the recent gruesome murder that occurred in Kasoa of the 10-year-old boy, this comes on the back of several complaints about some media houses promoting get-rich-quick messages which influences the youth into dubious practices, he said. According to him, the blame should be also put on the parent of the perpetrators of the crime, religious bodies, and Ghana's education system, as well as the government.
When the human conscience becomes so blunt and deadened, and when the human heart becomes so deadened and hardened, the depth to which we can sink and the extent to which we become so wicked and callous to each other. The source of it, I'm unable to determine clearly, because it comes from different dimensions. The failure of the family is one. The failure of religious communities. In other words, we are religious, we are not righteous, because all over around us you see religion. But still, children of this age can engage in this. There is something wrong. It is not the fault of the media alone. The media is only one dimension of the failure. This discussion must be broadened. We've only seen only this, but only God knows those that have gone unaccounted for. It is not only this. So when we are talking about it, we should not put the blame to only one side. Government is part of it. Our educational system is part of it. So it's something that we must sit down. One, we must appreciate and acknowledge that our morality has sunk and do something about it. That murder, that ritual murder, is seen by us through the eminent chief imam as a tragedy and a crime that has brought the immediate family, immediate bereaved family and the extended family, has brought to them pain and mental anguish of unimaginable proportion. And for us, for teenagers of this age to have the heart and the courage to engage in this dastardly act, in fact, is an indication of the depth to which as a country and society we have sunk in terms of our morality. Just yesterday, the chief imam spoke to me to discuss immediately what we also have to do. My statement hadn't come out yet. In fact, just this morning as I was preparing to write it, I was invited to come here. So it means that I have a duty now to go and quickly finish it up and send it on air to express the chief imam's condolences and sympathies and to draw attention of society to the dangers and the threat we are confronted with in the state of our moral decadence.
We have more from the National Chief Imam subsequently in our bulletins. You're watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Pia. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back with more. We take you to court and we'll tell you all that's been happening. First of all, there has been the denial of interlocutory injunction being sought by the Rastafarian student who was denied admission to Achimota School. And we also hear about the Major Mahama trial, which is ongoing. Today, the video in which he was lynched to death was presented as evidence. Do stay with us. The two Rastafarian students denied admission by the Achimota School for keeping their dreadlocks will have to stay home until a case they have filed in court challenging the school's decision is determined. And Accra High Court, as the Human Rights Division today, dismissed an application for interlocutory injunction filed by one of the Rastafarian students denied admission by Achimota School, Iras Magwai, which was seeking to restrain Achimota School from carrying out its decision to not admit them. According to the High Court judge, Justice Gifty J. Ado, the application for injunction, if granted, could prejudice the entire suit before her. But father of one of the children, Ras Aswad and Krabia, says even before the court rules on the substantive matter, they have started giving their children education from home.
He's already started education online, and there are individuals that come in the house to actually give him some teaching. Remember, he was taught at home before he did the homeschooling, right? So that is not new to us in terms of keeping him up to the level so that when the exam comes, he will be able to deal with it. But it is necessary for us to pave the way for future generations of Ghanaians, because as my sister just said, a whole colonial law in this time is using to disenfranchise Ghanaians with impunity. It is necessary for us to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future.
Ras Aswad and Krabia adds that they will continue to follow the case until, as they put it, justice is served.
No, I'm well pleased, and the reason why I'm well pleased, instead of putting the child through this 10-day issue of determining the judgment in terms of whether he goes back to school or not, you know, wasn't really the best, and it's not really the best for 10 days, and then the next 10 days you have to, you know, redo the whole situation. So giving us that 7 days to serve, and then from there we begin the process, I think is the best solution. So I am in favor of that direction.
When it comes to this whole substantive matter of getting the child enrolled in Achimota School, is it? I remember in the past you said that you are not even interested in them going to the school any longer, but now we are in court seeking such a relief.
Yeah, you see, it's not really going backward, you know. As you move along and the realities unfold, you recognize that your strategy must change. When we look at the appeal in terms of from the Ghanaian society in general, when they look at it and they see the level of discrimination, the society in general is calling for justice. The society in general is saying that justice must be served, right? So if we walk away from it today, we would actually defeat injustice. So it is important for us to fight this battle to ensure that not just my child, not just the two children, but all Ghanaian children have a right to the education based on what the Constitution has given them.
Meanwhile, a member of the legal team of the Rastafarian student, Ras Wayu, says they will comply with the court order to serve Achimota School immediately for the substantive case to be heard.
Technically, this ex parte motion, even if it is granted, is it extends for 10 days. So in 10 days, we would have come for a repeat application where we have to go on notice. Where on notice means we serve the other parties. The ex party means that we came to court without the other party. So that's the dynamics. If it had been granted, it would have lasted for only 10 days. So the court would have just said, okay, take the children to Achimota School, and after 10 days, Achimota School can say, okay, your stay here is 10 days, so go back and go and repeat the application. The timelines and all those dynamics. So the judge, in view of that, and also indicating that the first respondent, which is the Board of Governors, that is Achimota School, has not been served the substantive application itself. And so her thinking is that she will want to deal with the matter in an expeditory manner so that the case will move in respect of the substantive application itself. So this application will be refused. However, in order to speed up the trial of the substantive application, which is the application, which is the meat of the matter on enforcement of fundamental human rights. That is the main application, not this one. She wants to speed up and get to that application so that the child will not be at a disadvantage. So she's ordered that we serve this ruling that she's just given on all the parties. And then the parties, normally the rule says you have 21 days to respond. But by her order, when we serve this ruling on the parties, that is the respondents, that is the Achimota School, the GES, Ministry of Education and Attorney General. When we serve today's ruling on them, they have only 7 days and no more 21 days. The rule says 21 days, but the judge is saying that because she wants to deal with this substantive matter itself, the enforcement of human rights, that is what she wants to deal with, and not take somebody in for 10 days and then after 10 days, you come back again for another application. So in her mind, she's not too convinced, especially when the Achimota School has not been served with a substantive matter.
As lawyer for the Rastafarian students who have taken the matter to court. But news just coming in, and I need to take you quickly to the Western region live now, where in Takrade, where a man has been shot in a broad daylight robbery. We're told those are visuals coming in right now. In Natalia Kwansa is our correspondent standing by. She'll tell us what is happening. Ina, what is happening, or what just happened?
Yes, Gifty. So right now I'm at Amanfo East in Takrade. This is exactly where the day robbery went on. Apparently, there was a man and his wife in a private car. They had drove to this particular section where I am standing. You can see an orange building back there. That is where the man parked his car. And then after parking his car, 2 motorbikes with 4 people supposed to be armed robbers who were sitting on each of the motorbike, so 2 motorbikes with 4 people supposed to be armed robbers came in, got down from the motorbike, opened the car, and then shot the man twice. In the full glare of everyone here, residents stood there, watched them, and they took the money. Apparently, the man had gone for money from the bank. That's according to those who were around. They took the money and then drove off, whilst residents looked on without anyone even trying to go close to them. Gifty, I must add that this brings to the 3rd of robbery in Takrade from Friday up to date. On Friday, there was a robbery attack on a mobile money vendor at Ahinkofi, also in the Western region. And then on Saturday, another one around Presby here in Takrade. And then today, we have been trying hard.
Looks like I've lost Ina Thalia Kwansa there. But Ina, I lost you briefly. I lost you briefly, but I heard most of what you said. You said that you were trying to speak to the police?
Yeah, but the PRO said she's yet to gather enough information, even though the police has been here. According to source, they've been here to check the incident. The man, I understand, has been taken to the hospital together with his wife, but we are yet to find out which hospital they have been taken to.
Before they were taken away, do we know the extent of injury, or what kind of injury they have sustained?
Well, according to eyewitness here, the woman's own, the wife, her own is just minor, but they are saying, but we do not have confirmation from the hospital, but those around are saying that looking at the man, he is dead, but that is not a confirmation from the hospital. So we would follow up and then get details for our listeners and viewers.
Very well. And I'm seeing a video in which there's a vehicle and we have so many people surrounding that particular vehicle. What is happening there? Do you know?
Yes, Gifty. So that is the vehicle of the said man who has been shot and the wife. So that's the video you see in there was when the robbers had, the supposed robbers had gone. The residents around trying to lift the man from the car and then make sure that they take him and the wife to the hospital. So this is Takoradi, a location, place known as Ahimfie, here in Amanfo East. Yes, Gifty.
So this is Amanfo East in Takoradi. Where you say that between Friday and now, there have been about 3 reported cases that suggest robbery.
Yes, but not here alone. There has been one at Ahin Kofi, also a suburb of Takoradi, and then around the harbour area. And these 2, which happened on Friday and Saturday, happens to be at a robbery on mobile money vendors.
I see. Well, Ina, if there's any other information, I'm sure that you'll cross it over to us and we'll be standing by for it. Thank you, Ina. Natalia Kwanza is our Western Regional Correspondent reporting. News just coming in this afternoon. Some men sitting on motorbikes, 2 of them each on 1 motorbike, so 2 motorbikes with 4 people, have attacked somebody, open fire on a man and his wife who were driving, believed to have cashed some money from the bank. And as Ina is reporting, that is the vehicle you're seeing right there in your view. And these are people or residents or people who live in the area trying to help those who were injured. The vehicle, the motorbikes, by the way, have sped off with whatever they took from the vehicle. This afternoon, there is an additional 22 megawatts of power added to the national grid and likely to improve electricity supply in the country. The Bui Power Authority has switched 22.25 megawatts of solar power into the national grid. Engineers at Bui, after getting the green light from the power transmitter, the Ghana Grid Company Limited Gridco, successfully turned on the switches for 827 inverters, which store power harvested from the sun through solar photovoltaic panels to feed the national grid. Currently, Bui is unable to produce the 400 megawatts of power from its hydro dam due to lower water levels in the dam. Chief Executive Officer of the Bui Power, Fred Owari, tells my colleague Elton Bobe the overall objective is to generate 250 megawatts of solar power.
We've tried various sources, worked with various institutions, and today finally is when we brought the whole thing to fruition and now put solar energy onto the national grid. A number of people have worked on this project, and I take this opportunity to salute the staff of Bui Power Authority, especially the engineers who have been working on the project.
So how many megawatts are we talking about?
Well, the total would be 250 megawatts. We're doing it in phases of 50 megawatts each. We finished that one, I think, late last year, but we've been working with Gridco to make sure that all the parameters and grid codes have been satisfied. They did that over a period of time, and I think it was on last Thursday they finished the final test and gave us the green light to put it online. Even that, we're doing 25, and I'm sure by the end of this month, the other 25 would have been added to it.
So now we have 25 added to the national grid.
Well, yes, but the actual generation, one measured, was 22.
22 megawatts.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yeah, it is.
And someone asks, would you see this as a shift from what Bui is noted for, because hydro
no,
is the primary source?
No. As of today, our Enabling Act itself has been amended to allow us to do other renewables, which includes the solar, wind, and any other renewable generation that we may wish to enter. So it's not as if we've shifted from our core mandate. But having said so, yes, it's an additional mandate that we have taken on, and it should be looked at as such.
Was it difficult taking it off the ground? Because I know that a project of that magnitude, of looking at the land that you require to put the panels on, you are looking at a large area.
Yes.
How difficult has it been?
250, to put it in the right context, 250 acres for the 200 acres for the 50 megawatts that we are deploying now. But the difficulty had nothing to do with the land and no finance. It was just getting the right partner to implement it. You see, there was government policy to allow the private sector to come in. And in terms of that, we've engaged a number of institutions. They've come, and the conditionalities, the amount they're asking for, the tariff that they wanted us to guarantee them and all that, we couldn't, because we had to do it within the context of our own PPA with ECG. And so that was a main difficulty. But fortunately, we got somebody that we're working with now.
Well, but as the country grapples with challenges with power supply at the moment, managers of the sector have fallen short of describing it as a crisis. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, at a recent visit to Gridco, said the current situation cannot be described as doomsday.
I think the issue of financial challenges doesn't even come in. You heard the Chief Executive say it. Because they are doing the project, we can all see. So if what does finance come in? The people don't have money to buy lunch, or I don't know. But as far as we can see, the project is an ongoing project. So it's not about finances. It's just that if you are renovating your house, sometimes it's more complicated and it's more expensive than even building a new house. These are lines that we have just been informed were strung, some from 1950, some from 1965. The power it was supposed to transmit, Accra has expanded tremendously. So they are giving us power lines that can improve the power situation in Accra. We just need the forbearance of Ghanaians, because what we are planning and what we are implementing is the best for them. We should all be truthful in our communication. In 2016, the whole country, they gave us periods that we were off and we were on. In 2016, the government of the day told us that it was a generation problem. In 2016, even the opposition talked about the government don't have the money to buy fuel. This is not a generation problem. This is not about fuel. So how could it be doomsday? Doomsday is planned and the timetable is rolled out. And it affected the whole country for 4 years. Is that what we are seeing? No. Some of the system, because of the challenges, the reason why the system upgrades are being done is what we are feeling. And so we have to bear with the contractors to finish in time so that we can enjoy the improvement we so desire.
Well, the General Secretary for the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, however, asked that the government should own up, because according to him, the country is experiencing doomsday.
Everybody in this country, you are talking about improving the system, building new substations and new transmission lines, and so that is leading to doomsday. How does it contribute to doomsday? If you are building a new substation somewhere, the substation, when you are building substation or new power line, okay, you will not be working on the existing power line. You are putting in place new infrastructure. And until you finish putting in place that infrastructure, you don't touch the line that is there. So how does your building of a substation somewhere contribute to doom so? It doesn't. It is after you have finished the new line or finished the new substation and you want to change over. And that will take you not less than a week to do. You understand?
But
then you tell everybody
the recommendations of the engineers. They are asking for the power to go off so they can work on it.
Why? Because you are this power line is here. You are also building some substation here. Which engineer will recommend that unless you put this line off, I cannot work on this?
But that's the recommendation they say.
It is not. They are lying to Ghanaians. They don't have any reason, so they have to lie. If you tell one lie, you need several lies to maintain the lie. It has been said that two things that are difficult to maintain in life is lies and luxury. Lies and luxury. The people they are forcing to talk, they are not sincere with us. Doomso had come. And this one has come because of the negligence of this government. It is because of their actions and their inactions that has led us into this situation. And so they must own up. The politicians must be speaking as well.
And not just...
They should not be pushing. And you see, the way they have compromised state institutions, didn't we make noise about it? You change all the leadership in the power sector and put your stooges there. So the stories they are telling you is the parliamentarian, is the politician stories that are being told, except that the people are coming with the face of not being politicians. What is the difference?
Johnson Asirin-Ketia, he's also challenging the majority leader to point him to the law barring him from holding a position on the Parliamentary Service Board. Osei Mensa Bonsu had accused the NDC General Secretary of turning Parliament into an extension of the NDC. But speaking on the probe with MFR Power, Mr. Asirin-Ketia said the majority leader succeeded in making his fears known, but not the laws, saying it is illegal for him to be on the Parliamentary Service.
If you don't expect Nana Akufo-Addo to appoint his enemies as ministers and his advisors, why do you want to expect Bagbin to appoint his enemies? What was NDC before Bagbin came? What was Parliament before Bagbin came? If you are talking about turning something into another state, we should be interested in knowing the original state of that institution. Before Bagbin came, what was Parliament? Was it an enclave of MPP?
Was it?
And I'm asking him, he should be answering that question, because the Speaker was MPP. The former members of Parliament who should serve on the Parliamentary Board were from MPP leadership. Okay? And I don't want to believe that the workers and the advisors of the Speaker at that time were CPP. You understand? So if they were all MPP at that time, and now you have another Speaker, I am wondering whether Mr. Mensa Bonsu was expecting Bagbin to appoint his opponents to advise him. You are talking about advisors. People choose their advisors. How come that? Do you know that the Council of State is there to advise the president? The immediate, the current Council of State, it was constituted some 1 month ago. Mention one person who was nominated from NDC. Was there any one of them? The president was choosing his advisors, so he decided to choose MPP people. So I'm worried about people who cannot use parity of reasoning. Okay? They when something suits them, they argue in a certain way. They argue that this paper is white. Then the next day, the same people will be arguing that this paper is black or blue. That is not the way to build credibility. Okay? So I didn't expect James Bonsu, who was all over the place. When we were accusing the president of nepotism in his appointment and so on, James was all over the place saying that, did we expect the president to appoint his enemies as ministers? So what has changed?
Johnson Asirin-Ketia is the General Secretary for Opposition NDC, speaking with MFR Apau on the probe yesterday. You're still watching The Pulse. I'm Gifty Andropia. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Our researchers at the University of Ghana have concluded that some fish washed ashore last week was as a result of low oxygen concentration in the waters. Does this mean there is no cause for alarm for people who have consumed the fish? What do these findings mean to our fishing industry? I'm joined via Zoom by Professor Francis Nuno. who is with the Department of Marine and Fisheries at the University of Ghana. Professor Nunu, thank you. Good afternoon. So this is our question. Some people have eaten the fish.
Good afternoon, MFA.
Right, this is Gifty. This afternoon, we know that you're.
Oh, hello, Gifty. Sorry,
it's all right. Sorry,
Gifty.
It's all right. We sound alike, I'm told. But then the fish has gone into the stomach of many people. Some are still on the table waiting to be sold. What we are hearing is that the fish died through what they're calling stress, trauma, etc. What it means is that those of us who have eaten the fish are safe.
Yes, that one too can be inconclusive, but for now, since some people have eaten it and nothing has happened to them, we can say that we can just tread with caution. Our findings does not conclusively say that there was no poison out there. Doesn't conclusively say there was no poison out there. We said that we still studying it. So people should be careful in consuming such fish. I would rather say that they shouldn't consume any dead fish that was dead before it was picked up. It's not good. Any animal that is dead before you pick up, it's not good to eat it. So let's tread on caution with that.
Well, when you say that the results of your investigations are inconclusive, typically how long does it take to run such tests?
I didn't get you quickly.
Typically, how long will it take to run such tests to determine that consuming such fish could be poisonous?
It's all a matter of logistics. It's a matter of logistics. It's a matter of logistics, actually. So when we have the necessary logistics, we'll do the appropriate tests to be able to tease out. For now, we can roughly just say that we have elevated chemical oxygen demand, meaning there's the likelihood of some chemical out there, but we don't know which chemical, whether it's poisonous or not.
So there is a likelihood of some chemicals there. To what extent, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Even that we can't tell. We can't tell. So for now, we just have to continue further studies.
I see. And how long will you've said that it's a matter of logistics and availability of same, but I'm asking, how long should we, for example, wait for you to conclude with these tests? If you can give us an idea.
As soon as you give a deadline, people will be knocking at our doors. And you know how things happen in Ghana. We don't want to give any deadline as yet.
Okay.
But we'll do our best to inform the public as prompt as possible.
Just help me with this. Stress and trauma, are they the same in this context?
They are very similar. Yes, they are very similar. Basically, when the environmental conditions are not good, people get stressed, people get traumatized. So in this context, we are talking about chemical oxygen demand, we are talking about oxygen depletion, etc. So that even we humans, if we don't get enough air, we might suffocate to death. Similar things might have happened to the fish.
Prof, thank you very much. We await the further test that will be run, and we await the results so that people can be at ease to consume their fish. Professor Francis Nunu is with the Department of Fisheries at the University of Ghana, saying that it's still unhealthy to eat fish that is already dead before processed. Well, you may have left home today with a promise to your family to return. For 771 people who left home between January and March this year, they could not keep that promise. They were killed in a motor accident. That is why JoyNews, together with the National Road Safety Authority, has for over a year now been preaching safety on our roads and has led to our latest hotline documentary, Crushed. It is produced by Seth Kwame Boateng.
Not all people who died from road traffic accident got their families to even hear about the unfortunate incident or death. In various mortuaries across the country, There are such bodies there waiting for families to reclaim them. The Kwamfanochi Teaching Hospital mortuary is one of them. This part of the hospital is undoubtedly the quietest. Those autopsies have been done on them already, have been tagged and lie on an aluminium trolley placed inside the refrigerated body store. In another room behind me are other lifeless bodies on embalming tables. Some have been opened up already for autopsy. There are others, however, waiting to be investigated. An accident body is one of them. This middle-aged lifeless man got severely injured in the accident that brought him here. His broken bones are all sticking out. Dr. Ernest J., head of the hospital's pathology directorate, sees such bodies on a weekly basis.
Every year we bury not less than 4 or 5 individuals who have not been identified, and these are usually road traffic crashes related. When we have kept the body for sometimes as long as 1 year and there's no one showing up, the necessary protocols are observed, and then these bodies are buried when we are doing mass burials.
The full documentary will be premiered in some few minutes at the auditorium of the Ghana Shippers Authority. I'm taking you live there now. We speak to David Osafo Adonting. He's the Director, Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority. Mr. Adonting, good afternoon. There you are. Talk to us about the program and the expectations that as Road Safety Authority you have.
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Adonting, can you hear me? Did you hear my question?
I can hear you now. Please go again.
Great. I was asking you what your expectations are as National Road Safety Authority about this program in terms of dealing with the problem that's faced, that we're facing at the moment.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that we are all expecting that a day like this will come for all of us Ghanaians to see and then feel the magnitude, the scale and magnitude of the road safety problem in Ghana. I think that our partnership with multimedia in particular and all the other media under the Arrive Alive campaign have brought all the issues out. But I think today is the day that we can all see it on the ground. I'm saying this because we have all agreed at a point that we should raise the profile of road safety to an extent that it will become a national priority. Now, we have been on radio, we have been on TV, we've been outreaching to meet individuals, engagement, advocacy. Unfortunately, we don't think that road safety has been taken up on board as a national problem or as a public health issue like we expect. It takes events like this to be able to open up squarely for every Ghanaian from whichever walk of life to come and see what is happening on this. In fact, this tells me, and it comes to mind of the premier when our own brother Anas had to bring out the corruption and what was happening in GFA and what was happening in our judicial systems and so on. You could see the profile of events that followed that premiere, and I'm expecting to see a similar thing when road safety will also be discussed afterwards, after this whole premiere exercise. So we are excited to be part of this whole show, and already we have seen some high-profile personalities trooping in. More of them are going to come. Our Minister of Transport is on his way coming. A few other parliamentarians are here. Road safety advocates, road safety ambassadors, stakeholders. I have seen a couple of them all around. And so it promises to be very exciting, seeing what is happening on the streets, on our roads, and what we can all do afterwards.
To take our viewers through some of the figures that we've recorded, and I take your final words on this. Now, 517 people as of as of this year, January and February, 517 people were killed in road accidents alone. And if you look at the regional distribution, of course, the Greater Accra region, the Ashanti region, and the Eastern region are at the top, with Ashanti region having 108, Greater Accra 89, and Eastern region 91. The lowest, by the way, is somewhere in the Northeast region. Ms. Adonting, I just want to take your thoughts. These three regions, the Greater Accra region, the Ashanti region, and the Eastern region, it looks like we should have a concerted plan for these three regions. Is that part of the solutions you're looking at?
Indeed, the figures, as you have already said, are already out there. The Ghana Police Service, the MTTD, are out with the figures. 517 deaths at the end of February, 2 months. That was 60 days. Now we have added on March. So at the end of March, the first quarter, we are now counting 771 deaths. I think these figures alone should tell the whole story. If you compare these figures to the almighty COVID, which you and I know how serious it is in this country, which made all of us lock down, being at home, not coming out to go anywhere, a whole pandemic that has affected the entire economy. And you are comparing that the past 1 year, 14 months or so, whilst road safety or road accidents is talking about 771 deaths, we are talking about less than 800 deaths. Now, put together last year and this year, we're talking about more than 3,000 deaths on our roads. COVID has taken the lives of less than 800. So if you make comparison, then it means that we have a bigger problem than even the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So we have come to a stage that I will call it a crossroad, where we need to take certain policy decisions, by all means, very drastic. We must, as a government, as a people of Ghana, look at how we can invest in road safety, invest in management these crashes. Look at the circumstances that are leading to the crashes. The motorcycle problem is there. The towing service, the towing disabled vehicles are also there. We're talking about a lot of travels on our streets, the heavy goods vehicles traveling all the way from Accra on our network. We're talking about dualization of our highways. We're talking about training, formal training for our drivers. We're talking about entire engagement and sensitization, education of our people. It goes with money. It goes with commitment. So much as we are using this particular occasion to bring to the attention of policymakers, we are also looking at policy implementers to be up and doing, to remove laxity, so that we can hold the bull by the horn, move in straight away to deal with the situation one-on-one the way we see it. Now, failure of us to show that commitment in terms of investing funds, money, in terms of showing commitment from our levels, politicians, stakeholders, transport operators, road users, all of us must hold the situation and do everything we can to save the situation. Otherwise, gradually, people are dying.
Okay.
The people are going. Children, adults, men, women, and so on. And I think that we want to take advantage of this opportunity to thank Multimedia for coming this far. This documentary is going to be used as a platform to scale up the problem and raise the profile of safety. I am convinced that before we leave here, it would have changed our mindsets in whichever capacity we find ourselves to do it and do it more in a manner that come next year, the story will be different. The narrative will be different. So I think that our expectations are very high. I've seen the people trooping in. They are all excited to see something different and something drastic. But that will not end there. It should rather propel us to go and do more when we get out of this place. I think that's the most important thing. And we will not sit down. We're not going to relax. We will go and continue the education. We'll go and continue the advocacy. And we'll go and continue to push hard and push government, push everybody that matters to be able to do one thing good, better, in order to change the narrative. I can assure you that the National Road Safety Authority, we will not relent on ours at all. We will do the best we can to show leadership. Now that we have made an authority, that the mandate has been given to us to ensure that we reduce the deaths and injuries, I think this is the time. And there's no other time than now.
Well, Mr. Adonting, thank you very much for that update. We'll be coming to you, and hopefully we'll be able to show this video as well to the drivers themselves who caused these accidents on our roads. Thank you very much. For now, we'll leave it here, and we'll come back to you later. Mr. Adonting, there is a Director of Planning and Programs. David Osafo Adonting is Director of Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority. Let me take you through the figures again. By the way, I've just been alerted that these figures, by the way, have gone up. These are figures as of January and February, but it has gone up. Let me tell you what we have so far for now. So as I said earlier, 517 people have been killed between January and February 2021. And the regional distribution is as follows. Greater Accra, 89. Ashanti region topping the list with 108. The Eastern region has a 91 as the second highest. And of course, Accra follows. And then you have Central region following that one with 29. The Western region with 30. The Volta region with 17. The Northern region with 10. Upper West, 9. Upper East, 26. Bono, 15. Bono East, 27. Ahafo, 10. Oti region 8, Savannah region 33, Western North 13, and Northeast region 2. Northeast region seems to be the safest, if you like, as far as road carnage is concerned. 2,560 cases were reported. Out of those figures that you saw, 2,560 were reported. And out of that, 2,560, 1,581 were all commercial cases. So commercial vehicles, obviously, highlighted there. And then motorbikes. So motorbikes and commercial vehicles cost 974 out of that. Those cases were motorcycles or involved motorcycles. Also, 2,766 pedestrians were knocked down. 2,766. That's just between January and February. If you're talking about the people who were killed, 771 persons were killed between January and March of 2021. Like I'm saying, we are told that these figures have gone up. These came in a bit more earlier. So 771 persons killed between January and March 2021. I want to take you back to the auditorium where we're premiering our latest Hotline documentary. I'm connecting with Manuel Kranting, who is standing by with Seth Kwame Boateng. Manuel, take it over.
Yeah, so Gifty is just a couple of minutes away when we begin the full screening of that documentary that we've all been waiting to see. And just like you said, I have the producer of that documentary, Seth Kwame Boateng. Seth, first of all, congratulations. This is massive, massive job. Tell us, how did it get here? What did you go through to put this together?
So I must congratulate all of us. We all did it together. And I thought of how or what we could do as a media house to help reduce road crashes on our roads, because we can't sit down for over 2,000 lives to go just like that every year. So I had to think of what I could do to paint the picture for all Ghanaians to appreciate the magnitude of the problem. That's why we put this together, and we had to really go to some places that would, as it were, shake Ghanaians so that they would understand the need to appreciate safety on our roads.
Well, as you're putting this together, from just what you said, I'm getting a sense that in putting it together, you got a picture that people are really not appreciating the magnitude of what we are dealing with. Paint to us a picture of how negligent people have been with the issue of road safety.
People have been really negligent, so wrongful overtaking, not respecting the road markings and all those things, jumping red lights and all those things were not helping. So we needed to put this together so that we can show Ghanaians. It's about starting, and they are asking me.
I know it's about starting. Just finally, what are we to expect from this document?
How people are dying needlessly. That's what we are going to see.
And you heard it from the horse's own mouth. Thank you very much, Seth Kwame Boateng. How people are dying needlessly. and what we need to do to make sure that this particular, death that we're seeing on the road is ended. So Gifty is just about starting, and we are entering to give you a picture of what's happening in here, and then we can hand over back to you in the studio. So we have the dignitaries here. I've seen the National Security Minister, the Honorable Kandapa, who's here. I've seen Governor Kwame Agboja, who is the minority spokesperson on roads and transport. And so the event has started. And Gift, if you can hear me, we're just handing over back to you right about now.
We have many dignitaries amongst us who we will take a minute to acknowledge.
Where the premiere is going to start, of course, for policy makers, for people with influence to make their own judgment and to influence their decisions subsequently. Hopefully, also, those on the roads themselves get to see this documentary. We'll take you there again shortly. In the meantime, head of the emergency at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has revealed that the facility receives an average of 10 accident cases daily. Dr. Frederick Kwating spoke earlier on the AM show.
When it comes to trauma, orthopedics, and accident cases, we receive an average of 10 accident victims, especially those needing admissions on the day. In every day, we have an average of 10, and in most cases, we have about 3-4 of them being Okada injuries, and then the remaining 60 vehicle accidents. And a significant number of them are bad injuries, very serious ones that may have to be in the hospital for about 3 or 4 weeks. And in some cases, especially the Okada injuries, the injuries are that bad that to save the patient's life, we may have to actually even amputate their limbs, because sometimes they come in with limbs that have been.
Let's take you now to the auditorium. My colleague Kojo Yangson is standing by with the program.
We also have from the National Road and Safety Authority, Madam Catherine Hamilton. Thank you for coming. The National Health Insurance Authority is represented. It's actually the big boss, Dr. Jani Selby herself. We have from the GPCC, James Kofi Abe. The Chief Operating Officer of Multimedia Group is here. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, Mr. Ken Ansah. And as I explained, this is not according to protocol. Otherwise, we would have started with Mr. Kweku Ofori-Siama, the Minister for Transportation. From Cooperative Transport, let's welcome Mr. Edward Hoffman. We also acknowledge the head of the Ghana Road Coordinating Council, Mr. Emmanuel Ohene Yeboah. From the DVLA, Mr. Kafui Semebo. Representing JAP2, let's put our hands together for Mr. Ibrahim Musa. This is the man that you probably see and hear the most, representing the National Road Safety Authority. He's on every panel and every discussion across the face of the media. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. He's the head of Regulation, Inspection, and Compliance at the National Road Safety Authority, Mr. Kwame Kodia Etiahene. If you can acknowledge with a wave, Mr. Etiahene, so we can recognize you. Ah, there he is. Wonderful. Good to see you. The National Insurance Commission is here, represented by Mr. Kofi Ando. The chairman of the Road Safety Association of Ghana, Nana Ano Amihie II. Now, we're particularly pleased that this couple could make the time to be with us. They feature in our documentary. They tragically lost their son in a road accident, a preventable road accident. But they have graciously joined us today because they believe in our cause. Let us, with a wild round of applause, welcome Mr. and Mrs. Ofosu Ampedu. Ranking Member of Parliament on the Roads and Safety Committee. Roads and Transport Committee, forgive me. Mr. Kwame Abuja is here. And the chairman, Mr. Kennedy Osei Nyako. The Christian Council is represented by Kadi Tete in the back. And the manager of one of the big transport companies in Ghana, VIP, Mr. Adakabre Frimpong. Thank you all for coming. Now, to help us understand why we are here, we have a welcome address from the program's director of Joy, Mrs. Edem Knight Tay.
Thank you very much, Kojo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. On behalf of my COO, Mr. Kenansa, the Joy Brands, and the entire multimedia group, I welcome you to this all-important premiering. It is the premiering of Crushed, the latest JoyNews documentary by our own award-winning Seth Kwame Boateng. It has been over a year since the multimedia group, led by the Joy Brands, started this daily road safety campaign. We have dedicated time, efforts, and significant resources to this campaign with one singular purpose. If our awareness and education saves even one life from being snuffed out by preventable road accidents, it will all be worth it. The multimedia group led by the Joy Brands has been waging a relentless war against indiscipline on our roads, which leads to injuries and death. The statistics are alarming. And as this documentary proves, there is a tragic story behind every single one of these fast increasing numbers. Today, we are pleased to be joined by all the key stakeholders: the National Road Safety Authority, the Ministry of Transport, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, the Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate of the Ghana Police, who are battling alongside the multimedia group under the National Arrive Alive campaign. We wish to assure our audience on whose behalf we are executing this initiative that as long as we remain in business, the multimedia group is committed to driving the Drive Safe initiative. We will not stop, and I repeat, we will not stop until we see a change in attitudes across board. Not just from drivers and motorcyclists, but from pedestrians. We're talking about passengers, the police, policymakers, and state institutions whose actions and inactions have all contributed to the carnage we see on our roads. The WHO describes road traffic injuries as a neglected pandemic. And in Ghana, the alarming numbers are indicative of a threat to our national security. It is even more heartbreaking when we consider the fact that all these deaths and injuries are preventable. They are preventable. We hope that the shocking and heartbreaking images in this crashed documentary will move us all one step closer to that life-saving attitudinal change this nation desperately needs. The Joy Brands and the Multimedia Group urge us all to drive safe at all times. When you part ways with your loved ones, be they private car owners, be they commercial drivers, be they company drivers, or even motorcyclists, please remind them to drive safe. Safe driving saves lives. So, drive safe. And that is the reason we're gathered here this evening. Thank you very much. Kojo, please take it over.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Edem Knight-Tay. Let's also acknowledge the Executive Secretary of the PSC who joins us. That's Madam Mabel Amwakon-Atta. Let's have a wave so we all know. There she is. Hello. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, so here's how the evening is going to go. We're going to have a couple of statements, and then we'll have the address from the Transport Minister, and then we'll watch the documentary. And once that is over, we'll have a brief interaction amongst ourselves, particularly the stakeholders who are here gathered, so that perhaps we can get some action points on what to do from what we see in the documentary. And then we'll have a vote of thanks, a prayer, and we're off home. Now, before I call our first speaker, let me acknowledge the man who actually came up with the Arrive Alive slogan and campaign. He's here tonight. We're very honored to have him. He's Chief Titi Owusu Norte. Thank you very much. And we will be hearing from him in a short while. Before that, though, he's the Director General of the NRSA. Let's welcome him with a round of applause as he delivers his statement. She delivers her statement.
Honorable Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Multimedia Group, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. We are gathered here today because of the issue of road traffic crashes that has reached some crisis. Yet, our response as a nation has not matched the seriousness of this crisis. We all know that the first quarter of this year has been exceptionally depressing. So far, 771 people have died and 4,010 others injured through road traffic crashes. In fact, there have been more road accident deaths in the first quarter of this year than there have been COVID-19 deaths for a whole year. I extend my heartfelt condolence to the families who have lost their loved ones to the crashes and a speedy recovery to the injured. Ladies and gentlemen, the road crash statistics we record every day are not just numbers. They are thousands of living, breathing humans who, like the rest of us, had dreams, plans, and ambitions. They were the hope of many children and families whose future and well-being now remain uncertain. The numbers tell a really powerful but depressing story. It could be the story of a young footballer who once dreamt of bringing glory to our country, or a girl who left for school but never came home alive, a mother who did not make it alive on her way to work, or even a politician who unwillingly surrendered his life to the tragedy of a crash. This is a dangerous situation that guarantees neither immunity to the powerful nor grace to the weak. So beyond these figures, we are faced with an even greater danger that is slowly crippling our economy. And we all know that annually, road traffic crashes cost our nation 1.6% of our GDP. And when we want to translate it into monetary terms, it's about $165 million each year, an amount that can construct about 660 kilometers of asphaltic roads. In fact, individuals, families, and society are the hardest hit. They are the ones who immediately bear the brunt and crippling cost of road traffic crashes. We at the National Road Safety Authority are not in denial of this menace. In spite of the daunting challenges we face, we still undertake periodic, and instead of an all-round sensitization of transport operators and other road users. We do so also, and we recognize that in our part of the world, about 90% of the crashes we record are the result of human misconduct and unsafe road user practices. What this means in essence is that each time we fail to comply with a road traffic regulation, we are increasing our risk of death or injury by 9 times. The first decade of action for road safety, that was from 2011 to 2020, was promulgated to deal with this dire situation. Under it, we developed our strategies and action plans to stabilize and reduce road traffic deaths by half. This has since given way to the United Nations New Decade of Action for Road Safety, which is now from 2021 to 2030, which commits all of us to prevent at least 50% of road traffic deaths and injuries by the year 2030. But we, as a nation, are we really up to the task, given the chronic indiscipline on our roads and the occasional laxity we face from policymakers and implementers? Are we truly up to the task? For us at the National Road Safety Authority, a safe road transport regime remains non-negotiable. That is why in October last year, our Minister for Transport launched the Arrive Alive campaign with the simple objective of influencing a positive change in road user behavior and removing laxity on the part of policymakers and implementers. If ever we are to make a headway in our quest for safer roads, then we must step up our law enforcement game. The people who matter, and indeed those at the helm of affairs, should cease interfering and allow the MTTD to enforce the road traffic regulations. All stakeholders should support the NRSA to regulate the road transport sector for our own good. And so we must chart a path that places value on our lives as road users above all consideration. More importantly, we must dedicate ourselves to investing more in road safety. According to 2018 World Bank study, countries that fail to invest massively in road safety could miss out between 7 to 22% of per capita GDP growth over a 24-year period. On the other hand, a 10% reduction in road traffic deaths raises per capita real GDP by 3.6%. The choice is all ours to make. Ladies and gentlemen, we are assembled here today for one singular purpose: to premiere the road safety documentary titled Crashed. When Sir Kwame Boateng approached me some months ago with the idea, I was very excited. I've seen some really wonderful, human-centered documentaries he did in other sectors, and I could tell by my observation that such a similar work about road safety will give boost to our advocacy and regulatory drive as an authority. I never imagined that it could be done so soon. Nonetheless, we decided to collaborate with and extend all the necessary support to Seth and his team at JoyNews. What we are going to see today is a result of his hard work, and so I want to personally and on behalf of the authority commend him and his team the remarkable work done. I also want to use this opportunity also to congratulate Mr. Titi Notedria also, since I've worked with him since I entered the authority in 2005 for the wonderful work he's been doing also on road safety. Our ministry, the Ministry of Transport, has been very supportive of our efforts and have overseen our transition into a full authority. And so I'm very grateful to the Honorable Minister for Transport for his main support in making this documentary and other initiatives possible. For all of us here and outside, what is captured in the documentary are not just telltales. It is the everyday reality of many men and women, children and adults, young and old, who had to succumb to the surge and deadly impact of road traffic crashes. I think we need to apologize for the graphics content in the documentary, but after watching it, we have the stake choice of either going back to do business as usual or chart a new path that ensures our individual and collective safety. We must live here determined to be better and responsible road users, stakeholders, and policymakers. Thank you for your attention, and God bless.
Thank you once again, Madam May Obri-Yeboah. She, of course, is the Director General of the NRSA. Let's acknowledge a few more dignitaries. Representing the Bloomberg Initiative for Global Road Safety at the AMA, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Osei Kufuor. The Acting Chief Director of the Ministry of Transport, Madam Mabel Sego, is here. A round of applause. And Engineer David Adonting, a very popular name and face. He is the Director of Planning and Programs at the NRSA. Round of applause for him. The President of the Ghana National Cargo Transport Association is here. Alaji Tanko. Thank you for coming, Alaji. And a man who needs no introduction, the Director of Research and Education at MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Obeng. There he is in the back. All right. It's time for our second address. And it's from the man who started it all. The man who created the expression "arrive alive" and got this ball rolling beautifully several years ago. To hear a few words from him, let's put our hands together for Chief T.T. Owusu Norte.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stand on the existing protocol to welcome you all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this insightful documentary produced by Multimedia, and with special thanks to the young gentleman and a game changer, Seth Kwame Boateng. Seth, the sky is not your limit. Keep up the good work. Exactly 25 years ago, I started hosting Arrive Alive, a road safety program on Joy FM to educate the motoring public on road safety and car maintenance. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show an analysis of the data from 1925. So from 1995 to 2020, which I'm sure you have seen all over and over again, so as to judge for ourselves whether we are doing the same thing and hoping to get a different results, or we are using different strategies but the results are far-reached. This period covers the time I started the crusade in my private capacity as a road safety advocate to put sanity on our roads. Summary of road crashes, casualties, fatalities, human population, vehicular population, and the risk factors since 1995, according to the National Road Safety Authority, shows the following trends. There has been a high risk rise in fatalities from 1,823 in 2017 to 2,589 in 2020. This is the first time there has been a consecutive rise in fatalities in 4 separate years, that is 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, as shown on the table. How far have we fared? A casual look shows that the little effort we put in safety interventions have yielded some positive results. The do-nothing scenario would have been worse, taking into consideration the increase in human and vehicular population, the sophistication in design of vehicles, and increasing the number of good roads in our cities that attract speeding vehicles. However, deaths and injuries could have gone down drastically if attention in terms of funding, capacity building, political support, among others, was given to the law enforcement, National Road Safety Authority, the transport operators, the drivers, etc. Also, other alternative transport systems should have been deployed by now to ease road transport. Example, affordable airfares, rail, light rail, and tram. So what do we do? All year round, road safety education and training, non-interference with the work of law enforcement agencies like the police and regulatory bodies, i.e. DVLA, National Road Safety Authority, must take precedence in the fight to save lives on our roads. The police regulatory bodies must be allowed to enforce the Road Traffic Act, road traffic regulations, among other laws, without fear or favor. Enforcement being the weakest link. In European countries and elsewhere, like Rwanda, the law is no respecter of persons. Here in Ghana, people know they can escape by calling on one person in authority to come to their aid and so misbehave on the roads. In fact, now almost all four-wheel drives go against traffic regulations, assuming some untouchable postures by their users. The abuse in the use of sirens has risen to uncontrollable level above what is stipulated by the law. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians, pastors, car rental companies are the most culprits unlawfully installing sirens in their vehicles so that they can flout traffic regulations. All that they need is to have an SUV, tint the glasses dark, go out there and get it installed. Ladies and gentlemen, tinting of glasses beyond the stipulation road traffic regulations, LI 2180, is an offense. The heartbreaking aspect is seeing our law enforcement agencies looking on and allowing these vehicles to break the law because they are the elite in our society. The elite who owns the four-wheel drives are breaking the law with impunity with the support of the police. How do we then clamp down on Okada riders? Is it because when the Okada riders are arrested, they cannot use the phrase, "Do you know who I am?" or pick a phone and call a big man, a big woman for him to be released? War and the carnage on our roads. We need a more serious approach as a nation if we are to ever win the war on the carnage on our roads. From the executive, legislature, judiciary, all the way down. Those in authority should set good examples for the rest to follow. Should it take the President of the Republic to make such a pronouncement before we all abide by the rules and regulations? We need to sit up as a nation. Otherwise, road traffic fatalities will wipe us out, not COVID-19, when all human and financial resources are currently being pushed to. Road traffic crashes should be seen as a serious public health issue as well as national security threat, and maximum attention paid to it, just as is being done to COVID-19. Road safety education. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot conclude my speech without touching on the importance of driver education. Several years ago, I produced and hosted two TV programs, Fast Lane and Drivers Academy on GTV, designed to give all road users vital education on traffic regulations, vehicle maintenance, and general safety on our road. As part of the program, my crew and I visited various lorry parks and spoke to many drivers, some of which have 30 years driving experience. Many of these self-acclaimed experienced drivers could not recognize simple road signs. We heard the most outrageous meaning of signs. Winding road ahead became snake crossing. Cattle crossing became Nentrie bar. If drivers on our roads cannot interpret basic road signs, how are they operating commercial vehicles? My recommended way forward, among others, include: 1, we need a champion like the President of the Republic to move this agenda forward. The President should broadcast to the nation that road traffic crashes is a killer, and he expects all stakeholders to perform their duties without fear or favor. 2, driver education and law enforcement should be a priority. 3, better roads and dual carriages with enhanced safety features are equally necessary on our major highways. 4, Okada must be stopped. The sharp upward crash trend from 2017 to 2020 could be attributed to the rapid increase of motorcycles and tricycles for commercial purposes and their knocking down of pedestrians. This trend is on the increase because of the lack of employment opportunities for young people. It is important that relevant authorities address this as well so as to minimize the use of Okada as a means of earning a living. 5, an integrated, efficient, effective, enhanced public transportation system is required in the medium term to long term. A more reliable mass movement transportation must be deployed, especially in our major cities and roads, to address the canker. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's time for all stakeholders to stop paying lip service in fighting these menace, and rather put on our boots to act and ensure these efforts are sustained for positive results. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause once more. Mr. T.T. Owusu-Nortey, Chief T.T. Owusu-Nortey. Okay, we have one more address from the minister to go. Before that, though, let me acknowledge Madam Irene Mesida, Director of PPME at the Ministry of Transport. All right. So we're now going to hear from the Minister of Transport, after which we will watch the documentary. Wouldn't you like to meet the person who made the documentary? I'm not hearing the enthusiasm in the room. Yes? Yes? Okay. All right. I'll introduce him to you in a short while. But right now, with a round of applause, let's welcome the Minister of Transport of the Republic of Ghana.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Chairman of Parliamentary Select Committee of Roads and Transport, Ranking Member, Director General and Management of National Road Safety Authority, heads of various institutions here present, Anonymous transport operators, the media. Once again, good afternoon. I think a lot has been said about the purpose with which we are here. If I did not take my time in going through my speech, I'm going to rehash or repeat what had been said. But because this program is so important, permit me, if I did repeat any of the things which have been said. I should have said, or I should say, that I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here because we have all come to a realization that we cannot sit down, fold our arms, and allow road crashes to wipe us away. On that basis, I'm happy that we have come to that realization. But I'm not happy that we are going to talk about death, because where I come from, death is not something that we should be proud of. But this is where we are. That is why we should begin to talk about them. About a year ago, excuse me, Kwame approached me and said, Minister, we need to do this. We sat down for about an hour or two, and we all came to a conclusion that we shouldn't bow our heads in shame, but we should rather confront the issues and talk about them. So what I'm pleading is that after going through this documentary, this shouldn't be the basis with which we are going to appoint accusing figures at each other. But once you have recognized that it has been an institutional defect over the years, once we have an institution and we have a defect over the years, in going to correct that institution, it's not going to take you a day or 4 years or 2 years. You need a corrective effort from all of us. From the police, from the media, from the politicians, from the transport operators, even from the pedestrians. Many a time we tend to concentrate our effort on the politicians, the police, the driver, and leave the rest. I asked for something. When we said that human error, our attention that, police is not performing, the driver is not driving well. Well, if we talk about human error, it's not talking about the driver. The driver mistake may be part. The contractor who is constructing the road and cutting corners is also part. The engineer who failed to correct or do the correcting is part of it. The transport operator who is not adhering to safety standard is also part of it. And the policy maker, not relishing what is available, is also part of it. So when we speak and say that human error, let us not concentrate only on the driver, but everybody who is supposed to play its part. So at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, when I took over as a minister for transport, I realized that the very particular institution which is supposed to educate or champion road safety has a limited powers. So the present position is that in dealing with institutional defect, we need the legal framework, we need infrastructure, and we need money. And recently, we also need technology. So the first thing we did is to change the mandate of National Road Safety Commission into an authority. We did so not because we believe in name. We did so because we wanted the institution to have the power to enforce institutional compliance. Because without that legal framework, without having an authority which will enforce institutional compliance, was going to be difficult for that particular institution to do its work and do it well. And going through that motion, I must first of all give thanks to Parliament. At that time, Chairman Aipe and Kwame, myself, we needed to go through, including my staff, a very laborious regime to have it changed. And for me, it is one significant thing that the President has done. And I'm saying that there's institutional defect. You will not see its result today, but going forward, I think it will manifest what it is that we need to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, apart from what we have done to raise the awareness of National Road Safety Authority, we have also come to a conclusion that we cannot have a transport operating system without a regulator. And when Chief Titinate was talking, I realized in his speech there was no regulation. Putting all the transport operators together, there wasn't anybody to regulate them. So I'm appealing to the transport operators that going forward, as part of the new order that we are bringing together, or all of us want to put ourselves together, the National Road Safety Commission Authority, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, is going to regulate the transport operators. And it's not going to be the way that they are going to stampede you, or they are not going to allow you to do your work. But I think it is important that this important work that all of us are doing, you must come under one umbrella so that you must know what it is that we have to do, we need to do. How is it that air transport has a regulator, but when we come in terms of transport, road transport services, being regulated has become an issue? And I think that at this point in time, we should all try and support the National Road Safety Authority as they are about to embark in the process of regulating the transport unions. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, a lot has been said. I do not intend to speak or give long speeches, but I want to appeal to all of us in this room, especially the media. And I think that I'm choosing my words well, so that tomorrow I will not be misconstrued. They said that the minister said this, and he said that, please, I'm appealing to you, whether we like it or not, we have one institution which is supposed to enforce regulation. And I'm appealing to all of us that going forward, they may not be the best institutions that we have, but that is what we have, and we must protect it. Let us all try to support the police to do their work by enforcing regulation or safety regulation on our roads. Chief Nate said that, yes, there may be power somewhere calling them. Oh, the media man and the media. Chief, because he's a media man, he talked about politicians and the police. So you to allow me to talk about the media. It's a shared responsibility. Road safety is a shared responsibility. And all of us have an individual responsibility to play. If the policeman goes to arrest somebody or a taxi driver or a truck driver who has not done the right thing, the media will be the first people to go and give the mic to the people and say, hey, where are they? And the police in the jail. What did you do? Without talking about, then they will go and they will run their story. Because good news is no news. Bad news is always news. I'm also appealing to you that knowing or having come to where conclusion that where we are going, if we did not all come together, we are going to have an albatross on our neck. Let them know that the police has overall responsibility to enforce regulations on our roads. I'm not saying that they are without fault. I will be the first. Look, I have my issues with them, but where I come from, it's not every issue that we say it in public. There are some issues that you have to call your grandfather or your uncle or your child to the room and advise him. But once they have that public duty to perform, please let us support them. Because with all the education that we are doing, with all the infrastructure, with all the policy that the media is asking the policymakers and government to put in place, if we did not support the police, it will come to a naught. I always said that this is my 5th year of being the Minister for Transport. I don't think anybody can say that government hasn't done anything, the police hasn't done, or the media hasn't done anything. What about the driver who is driving the car? Granted, the government has not constructed any road for the past 5 years. The police are not on the road. The driver who is driving the car, take your life into your own hands. It behoves on you to make sure that you protect yourself and protect the passenger in the car. Last but not the least, I thank all of you for having made time to come here. Living here, let us say or resolve that this is a responsibility on us, that we should begin to come together to make sure that this thing cannot continue. It is only when people become defensive, if we begin to point at accusing figures, they blame me. The politicians are not doing well, the police are not doing, the media is not doing this. Then everybody will become overprotective. Then let me protect my territory. I'm sure that if we recognize that we have a problem and that we are all prepared to come together, I'm sure there may be a way out. So once again, thank you. You are welcome. Let us live here with one common aim in view, that we will make attempt, or from today going, let us all resolve to reduce, after eliminating accidents completely on our roads is impossible. But those we claim to be human errors, those we claim that we can reduce or eliminate, let us resolve that going forward. Koyo, you are welcome. I'm sure maybe we need to, when I finish, as a Minister for Information, you also add 1 or 2 things before they premiere their program. Oh, you won't speak? Okay. The Minister for Information is saying that whatever I've said is enough and represent the politician. So please, let us resolve that we will work together to reduce road crashes on our road. Thank you, and may God help us.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for the Minister for Transport, Mr. Kweku Ofori-Isiamah. Very hard-working minister, my fellow Central Regional native. And even though he did quite a good job of catching Mr. Opon Nkrumah on his way in, let me formally and officially acknowledge the presence of the Information Minister, Mr. Kojo Opon Nkrumah. Okay, so I think we're ready to watch this documentary. But before that, I'd like you to meet a couple of people. We're going to meet Seth before we start. But before that, let me introduce the man under whose tutelage, mentorship, management, Seth Kwame Boateng became the award-winning journalist. Elvis Kwashe is the managing director of the JoyNews cluster. Now, you know, we always have unsung heroes, and this next person is one of them. You know, these documentaries are not easy to produce, and it takes people like this man to sit in a dark room, sometimes for days on end, editing and tweaking and correcting and perfecting and cleaning and clearing, so that we have the product that we are all going to enjoy. So this is just one of the many unsung heroes that made Crushed possible. Ladies and gentlemen, he's our Hotline documentary editor, Kweku Owusu-Pepra. Of course, Kweku represents the camera crew, the sound people, the lighting team, the editors and other correspondents and journalists who all contributed to this work. It's a JoyNews hotline documentary produced by Seth Kwame Boateng. And just before we view the work, if I may invite Seth to come up front to take a quick bow so we all get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, the award-winning JoyNews journalist, Seth Kwame Boateng. Oh, okay. I understand Seth has left the room. We'll catch him when he returns. But I guess that means we can go straight to the order of business, which is the viewing of this documentary. I must warn you that there are some rather disturbing images contained in this documentary. I will warn you, but I will not apologize, because the shock is intentional. We need to shock ourselves out of business as usual if we are going to save lives. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the JoyNews documentary, Crushed.
Well, the documentary is airing here tonight at 8 p.m. and you want to make a date. I mean, for those who are over there, they're getting to watch, but you get to watch here on our channel at 8:30 p.m. I'm Gifty Andopia. There is more news at My Joy Online. 8 p.m. I beg your pardon. It's showing at 8 p.m. I'm Gifty Andopia. There's more news at myjoyonline.com, and Daryl Kwao is standing by with business. Well, we're not bringing you business live this hour. That's it for now. Bye-bye.